Thank you for attending the General Installation Training Program for Gasketed Box Culvert with Tylox SuperSeal. This module is ideal for contractors, precast sales staff, consulting engineers, supervisors, or anyone who will be involved in installing box culverts with Tylox SuperSeal gaskets. This module will provide you with the basic knowledge you need in installing gasketed box culvert. Now let's begin. First, we will be covering the ASTM Installation Standard for box culverts. We will then talk about the online resources that are available. We will provide you with the many advantages of installing gasketed box culverts using Tylox SuperSeal gaskets versus alternative products or sealing systems. Next, we will talk about the equipment that will be required to complete this installation. And finally, how these boxes should be installed on site. ASTM C1675 is the standard practice for installation of precast reinforced concrete monolithic box sections for culverts, storm drains, and sewers. This training program should not be substituted for thoroughly reading and understanding the ASTM spec itself. It is important to review the installation specification ASTM C1675 prior to your installation. If not already included with the drawings, a copy of this spec can be obtained from the precast producer or the consulting engineer. This document in detail covers installation and testing instructions that we will only have time to touch on during this program, including important topics such as excavation, foundation, leveling course, also referred to as bedding, box placement and homing, among other topics. The American Concrete Pipe Association also provides technical resources for production installation best practices. There are various other resources online as well that can help with the production and installation of gasketed box culvert. Please refer to these along with the training program for further guidance. Their website is www.concretepipe.org. Once you close this video, there will be a link connecting you to this website found in the written section of this module. Advantages of installing pre-lubed gasketed box culverts. Requires minimal field installation time. The structures will be shipped to the job site with the gasket pre-installed, so the contractor has only to handle the installation itself. Because of this, the contractor does not have to worry about butyl tape installation. Often, there is no joint wrap required, depending on the job spec, and because of this, generally depending on the installation conditions, gasketed precast box culvert can install more efficiently and more rapidly than traditional non-gasketed box. Requires no field lubrication. The Tylox SuperSeal gasket has a layer of silicone lubricant installed on the inner surface of the tube during the manufacturing process. This saves contractors time and money on the job site. Sealed within the tube, the lubricant cannot come into contact with and therefore prevents mud, dirt, or other debris from sticking to the gasket and entering the joint, which could prevent the box from homing fully and lead to failed joints. Gaskets are UV resistant. Since the gasket is installed on the box culvert at the point of manufacture, the gasket may sit exposed to the harmful effects of sunlight for extended periods of time. All Tylox SuperSeal gaskets are manufactured from synthetic rubber compounds engineered for enhanced ozone and UV resistance. Ozone, or UV, is not a problem for Tylox SuperSeal. They can remain installed on the box, staged for installation for up to 2 years or more. You should consult the manufacturer of the gaskets used for specific details. Full specification compliance. All Tylox box culvert gaskets meet the material requirements of ASTM C1677, the specification which covers concrete box culvert, C1619, the specification covering rubber gasket material properties for concrete pipe and structures, and CSA A257.3, the Canadian specification for concrete pipe and structures. Self-centering gasket. While it is advisable to have your bell and spigot aligned as close to parallel as possible, the design of the Tylox SuperSeal gasket can act to self-center the spigot during the homing process as the tube rolls into the annular space. It is somewhat more forgiving than a non-pre-lubricated gasket. High quality, precision joint design. Box culverts with Tylox SuperSeal gasketed joints have been designed and field tested with a safety factor that exceeds the watertight requirements of 5 psi as stipulated in ASTM C1677. In certain limited cases, pressures greater than 5 psi can be realized. This is due to the fact that single offset joints, generally speaking, are considered higher quality than mortar joints, and synthetic rubber gaskets outperform grout or butyl sealant. This image shows a cross-section of our Tylox SuperSeal gasket. As you can see, there is silicone lubricant within the tube section of the gasket. The lamelle, which are engineered voids running through the gasket body, act to help the gasket fold during homing, thus reducing insertion force. The body of the gasket itself creates the watertight seal. In the upper left-hand image, the gasket is shown as it should have arrived at the job site, installed on the first step of the spigot. This image is meant to show how the gasket sits on the spigot prior to homing. The animation on the lower right-hand side shows a Tylox SuperSeal gasket installed on a pipe, being homed together on an incoming pipe. For the purpose of this demonstration, the gasket works the same way whether it's a pipe or box culvert. The animation demonstrates how the tube rolls across the body of the gasket, coming to rest inside the annular space. An added benefit of having the tube rolled inside the annular space is the cushion created between the bell and the spigot, preventing total deflection of the joint and eliminating the possibility of concrete-to-concrete contact. Having the proper equipment for any job is important. For this installation, please be sure to have the following: a crane and a track hoe, a 4-point lifting system, hydraulic pipe puller or tugger. 2 may be required if working with boxes larger than 10 feet by 8 feet. Large hooks on a chain that will connect to the tugger, a laser level, and a grade pole for checking the base with the laser. Please note that it is not advisable to home your box with a loader or dozer or any similar piece of pushing equipment. Installation step 1, unload boxes from delivery trucks. Before we begin, it is important to note that no additional joint preparation work should be required as the gasket is pre-lubricated. So do not lubricate the outside of the gaskets or apply any lube to the bell or the spigot. If external lubricant is added on the job site, it can actually prevent the gasket from functioning as it was designed. The gasket will already be installed on the joint, secured with glue on the bottom and the sides to keep it in place. If the gasket has become slightly dislodged, it needs to be stretched back onto the spigot, pulled outwards towards the corners to equalize, and then pushed up against the step of the joint. If the gasket has come off completely, you need to check with the manufacturer as to how best to reinstall the gasket. It is also important to inspect your joints once the boxes are removed from the truck. The quality of the joint surface must be satisfactory. There should be no major imperfections, damage, or debris present that may prevent the gasket from functioning properly. Each box should be inspected prior to assembly. Report any damage that you feel could prevent the gasket from performing as required to your supervisor. The photo on the left provides an example of an imperfection that would prevent the box from homing completely. Careful handling of the box sections is critical, as any damage to the joints or the structures could impact the water tightness of the finished installation. Installation Step 2. Determine the location of the box installation. It is now time to begin excavation at the predetermined location. It is important to be aware of the proper depth requirement before the installation begins. The excavation operator should utilize guidance from a crew member or the drawings on the ground so that they know the depth of the excavation and corresponding bedding. Installation Step 3. Add the leveling course. Once the proper excavation depth is reached, add fill or stone as specified in the drawings to the bottom of the trench for the leveling course, also referred to as the bedding. Preparation of the bottom of the trench is very important as it will impact the installation of the boxes as well as how smoothly they will align during homing. Using the laser level and some type of grade pole, the bedding should be carefully leveled and compacted across the area where installation will occur next. Bedding material should be used as outlined in ASTM C1675. Follow Section 8 of this standard for guidance on leveling and bedding procedure. While C1675 requires a minimum of 3 inches for the leveling course, we recommend a depth of 6 inches to 8 inches to provide a better foundation and reduce the possibility of point loads. Installation Step 4. Lower first section into the trench. It is now time to lower the first box section into the trench. The box culvert should be lowered into the trench via backhoe or crane by using the lifting hooks connected to the inserts embedded in the box section. Pay careful attention to the placement of the box so that it is oriented precisely into the trench for correct alignment. ASTM C1675 Section 9 says that the box sections shall be installed to the line and grade shown in the contract document. It is important to always keep reference of these contract documents when placing future boxes. Also, be sure to brush the bell and spigot prior to homing to clear any debris that could prevent full homing and sealing of the joint. Installation Step 5. Prepare trench for next section, lower next section. Once the first section is in place, the trench is excavated away from the box sections to allow room for the new sections to be installed. In Step 3, we covered the trench floor and leveling course procedure. Repeat the procedure for each additional segment of box culvert to ensure a smooth and level base following the grade as laid out in the plans is maintained. Always be sure that you are following the procedures outlined in ASTM C1675 throughout the installation. Following the same steps, lower the next box into the trench, ensuring that the joints are in alignment. The box should be brought to about 2 to 3 inches from the previously installed box. Slightly hover the box over the leveling course, but not so much that the box is noticeably above the leveling course. It is important not to drag the box over the leveling course. Position the spigot next to the bell of the previously installed box and attach the come-along. Refer to Section 9 of ASTM C1675 for further guidance on this step. Installation Step 6. Pull box sections together. Once your box culvert is in place, the sections need to be pulled together in straight alignment with the previous section. While the box is in a hovering position, slightly above the leveling course, the box should slowly be homed by using a come-along, hydraulic jacks, a winch, or some other suitable device. We have found that the come-along method works best to achieve straight alignment. Homing must be done in such a way as to try and avoid dragging debris or gravel into the joint. This could cause the gasket to roll or the box to not fully home. This will allow for the box section to be slowly brought together until the joint is closed. Section 9.2 of ASTM C1675 says, adjustments in grade by exerting force on the box section with excavating equipment or by lifting and dropping the box section shall be prohibited. If the installed box section is not on grade, the box section shall be completely disassembled, the grade corrected, and the box section then rejoined. This is an important point to ensure proper installation. Please refer to Section 9 of ASTM C1675 for further guidance on this step. Installation Step 7. Ensure boxes are completely homed. The box should now be completely homed. If there is any debris keeping the bottom of the joint from completely homing, or if one of the sides of the box is homed completely without the other doing so, then the box should be pulled away, the gasket checked to make sure that it's still in place, and the process should be started again. Proper procedures and accuracy are more important than speed for installation of gasketed boxes. Once you become proficient at this process, your installation speed will improve. You can ensure that the section is homed by making sure that the gap around the connection is less than ½ inch. If you have a gap larger than this and the homing equipment you are using cannot close this gap, you will need to restart the installation of the box. The chains can now be removed from the top of the box and the crew can prepare for the installation of the next section that needs to be added. You can now repeat this process for each subsequent section that needs to be added. Your trench is ready for backfill once enough sections have been installed. You want to be sure your backfill material is not reaching the area where the next box section will be placed. Thank you for attending the Gasketed Box Culvert with Tylox SuperSeal Field Installation Training Program. You should now be prepared to complete your first gasketed box installation with Tylox SuperSeal. Be sure to contact your box supplier or Hamilton Kent if you have any questions or concerns about the installation techniques discussed in this training.